everybody. Lord Tremendous here. Got another battle report here for you. This is number 3 of my Star Wars X-Wing Journey Battle Crusade series, whatever you want to call it. This is a team battle. It was a 2-on-2, me and a teammate versus 2 other guys that were teammates. It was 100 points each, or 200 points aside, for a total of 400 points of Star Wars goodness in the middle. It is I, Lord Tremendous, and Gnome Runner of the Scum/Rebels versus Sleeping Cthulhu and General Manager of the Empire. This is a really good game, so sit back, relax, and get ready to see how this one goes.
All wings report in.
Here's what I took. I have Boba Fett because I always bring the Boba. He's got Slave 1 on there so I can, take the proton torpedoes, which I did. I have Deadeye, which honestly, I was just trying it out. And then I have Greedo because I really like Greedo. And the fact that the first time you attack each round and the first time you defend each round, the first damage card that's dealt is dealt face up. Basically, it's an auto crit, so that's really cool. It can be a little dangerous if your shields go down, but you just don't let your shields go down, and you should be okay. I'm working on perfecting this kit, but right now I really like the Boba. I also bought Cavill, or how the hell you say it. He was in a Y-Wing with the blaster turret, just because I like the 360 arc on my big tank ship. And then I have Katu whatever, and a little pirate and a headhunter. 2 headhunters, one is a little bit better than the other one, but I had the points, so I threw them in there. And I'm not upset about it, not at all. Here's my allies list. He brought Han Solo with a handful of stuff, and he also brought Ethan Hunt. I don't know what his name is, but he's got a bunch of stuff like engine upgrades, push limit, 2 ships, about 50 points each. It's a little crazy, actually. Actually, Han Solo is probably closer to 60 or 70. Here's the Empire Scum. This is being fielded by General Manager. He's got Captain Daikun in a VT-49 Decimator. Darth Vader decided to come along on this one, as well as Mara Jade. Anti-pursuit lasers make it so that if you run into him, he runs into you, you take a damage point, and then Intimidation. This thing is insane, and with 4 shields and 12 hull points, it's also just a big Goliath, a big hulking behemoth in the middle of the universe with some lasers thrown on there because it was kind of an afterthought. This thing is a pain to deal with. And then he also, because he had some points left over, brought a couple of TIE interceptors with ruthlessness on them because, having the big Goliath thing wasn't enough. And then here's Sleeping Cthulhu with his formation of 6 TIE fighters, 5 of which are just the regular Black Squadron pilots, and then the one in the middle, I don't remember what special character it is, but it is an actual character, and they all have swarm tactics on them, and that's it.
Why, you stuck-up, half-witted, scruffy-looking nerf herder!
Here's setup. As you can see, the map has some decent asteroid coverage, but not so compact that you can just fly around it and it's not a big deal. So that was kind of cool. I've got a formation of TIE fighters pretty much on our right flank there, as well as the Goliath boat and 2 interceptors on my left flank, center-ish, more center than left flanked, I guess. Han Solo and Ethan Hunt decided to stay way over on the left flank there, and Boba is more towards the middle with his 3 little buddies. The idea was his 3 little buddies were going to back him up. I figured the TIE fighters were going to go after the Boba, but with all the enemies within, range band 1, I figured with the rerolls I should be okay. I was assuming. I don't know. You'll see how that goes. And the 3 little boats were supposed to go and just support Boba, just taking pot shots where they could while Boba caught all the attention. What Gnome Runner was going to do, I really didn't know. I figured he was going to come around the left flank there or try to peel off General Manager's stuff and leave me with the TIE fighters. But who knows? Who really knows? Here's the Empire's army, I guess, the entire fleet. He's got both of his TIE interceptors on our left there. He's got the big Captain Dinu or whatever right there in the middle. You can't miss it. And then there's the swarm of TIE fighters with the special character in the back middle. Here's Gnome Runner's fleet with Han Solo and Ethan Hunt sitting there. And here's me from right to left. There's baby headhunter. There's Kaval. There's the grown-up adolescent headhunter, and then the Boba.
The Emperor does not share your optimistic appraisal of the situation.
Here's what our initial end of turn one looks like, and for the most part, you just see us come forward. The headhunter, it's angled precariously, I know, but I don't know what I was thinking. It was bad maneuvering on my part. However, the rest of my stuff comes up pretty much the way I expected it to. Same with my opponent's fleet, who they all just kind of come up with the interceptors tearing away from Han Solo and Ethan Hunt. They must know something I don't, and yeah, we all just kind of start coming right at each other. What do you expect in the first turn? Here's what the second turn we get into, and after movement, we have quite the traffic jam. The TIE fighters, I ran into one, and then I have a little traffic jam with my headhunter and Cavill, which is really bad because now 5 of the TIE fighters have beautiful shots at both of those ships. Not to mention Captain Dino over there does. Oh man, I'm looking at some trouble. However, we start off strong with Boba firing at the squadron leader, and I almost kill him. I'm able to do 2 points of damage to a shieldless ship, and that felt pretty good. And I'm able to start a console fire and damage his sensor array, which makes it so basically he's going to have a real problem hurting me with that particular boat. However, the other boats start firing at Cavill, which is really, really bad, and they have some sort of thing where they're pilot skill 8, as long as that little squadron leader is there. So yeah, they move at pilot skill 4, but they shoot at pilot skill 8, which is bad because they open fire before I can, and they light up Cavill, losing all 3 of his shields in the first volley, and then he takes 3 points of damage in the second volley, and then he's murdered in the third volley. Not done yet. The 4th TIE fighter fires at my headhunter, the decent fighter, and rips both of his shields off. And then the 5th one fires and destroys my headhunter. Ugh. And then number 6 fires at Boba and strips a shield off of him, which I'm not pleased about. Then over here, one of my allies, I think Ethan Hunt, was able to get in close, and he was just barely in range band 3, and was able to peel the last wound off of the squadron leader of the TIE fighters, making them, pilot skill 4 for everything now, and that's outstanding.
Good shot, Red 2.
And here's what the board looks like at the end of turn 2. As you can see, we murdered each other. I killed a squadron leader and lost half my fleet for it. Not really a good trade at all on my end, but nonetheless, it is what it is. And if Han Solo and Ethan Hunt can get in here and start doing some serious damage to these guys, we still have a chance. I still believe we have a chance. There's a lot of boats on their side, though, so you'll see. So we jump into our turn here, and the first thing that happens is after the TIE fighters all move out of the way, the big boat guy slams right into Boba, taking my shields down to 50%, which is great, because he's got defensive lasers. Whenever he gets run into, you take damage, so it sucks. And then we get into the shooting phase, and yes, Boba has a backdoor shot against the TIE fighter and is able to hit him. And thanks to Greedo, the first damage card is flipped, and it was the critical hit 2 damage on that bastard. So he's smoking with 1 shot from the Boba. Unfortunately, I'm not sure which ship it is, but one of them fires back at Boba, stripping off another one of his shields, which brings him down to 25%, which is really, really bad. And then something else fires at Boba, stripping off his final shield and dealing a crit, damaging my engine. I can only make easygoing turns. I can't take hard left turns anymore without being stressed because my ship is starting to break apart. And then another ship, I think it's Captain Dinu or whatever, fires at me, and I was able to do one more point of damage to Boba. It's not looking good. It's not looking like he's going to be at the victory party tonight. So we do a little counter firing here, and my headhunter is able to shoot one of the TIE fighters, and he scores a crit, and it flips, and it's another 2 damage cards. Who shuffled that deck, right? So here's what the board looks like at the end of turn 3, and it's still quite the traffic jam on the right flank there. But these guys the TIE fighters need to shift pretty soon, or they're going to end up going off the table. The interceptors are looking around for targets of opportunity. Captain Dinu, I don't even know what he's doing. While Han and Ethan are attempting to get back into this fight because it's not something I can do by myself. So we get into the movement of turn 4, and my opponent, Sleeping Cthulhu, misjudges one of his TIE fighters and flies him clean off the table. As you can see, this one finds the edge of the universe and is destroyed, which is okay by us. And then Han Solo finally joins into the fight, taking out another TIE fighter, bringing that fleet down to half strength, which is very, very nice. And then Ethan, for his trouble, gets shot at and takes a little bit of damage, which is not the greatest thing in the world for him. Then, not to make that one ship feel any worse, he's able to get another TIE fighter firing at Ethan and do yet another shield point of damage off of him, and that's bad for Ethan because he doesn't have any shield. Well, I think he's got like 1 shield left, which oof. He's really gonna have to dig deep and help me out in here. We're gonna lose this game quick. So here's what the table looks like at the end of turn 4. For the most part, the traffic jam is still occurring. Captain Dino slammed into a TIE fighter, stopping him kind of dead in his tracks. The interceptors went after Boba, but were not able to hurt him thanks to some great maneuvering. And Han showed up and was able to pelt a TIE fighter, which was outstanding. So we go into whatever this is, turn 5, and Boba flies off, but is able to get the silver or gray TIE interceptor in his back arc and put 2 wounds on him, 1 crit and 1 flips because of Greedo. And I'm able to get a munitions failure and an injured pilot. That's right, I shot the meat and the metal.
Stabilize your rear deflectors. Watch for enemy fighters.
And then I'm not really sure who does it. I think it might be the little Ethan dude, but he takes a pot shot at the big nasty Goliath boat and is able to strip a shield off him. So it begins. And then Han, I'm not sure what shoots at him. I think it's the big the Captain Dinu ship, but he's able to strip 3 shields off of Han Solo's ship, and that's really, really bad because once his shields are gone, he falls apart pretty quick. Luckily for us, my headhunter is able to bring down the interceptor, and that is just glorious.
Good shot, Red 2.
And then we go over here to turn 5. Well, at the end of turn 5 anyway. And for the most part, same thing. Ethan and Han Solo ran into each other, so they didn't really move a whole lot. The 2 TIE fighters ran into each other, and so they're not moving a whole hell of a lot. The red interceptor is going after Boba, but was not able to hit, which was nice because I was able to evade. And the other TIE fighter is just trying to get an angle on Boba, cut him off at the pass, and destroy him before he can destroy any more of his buddies. So we go into turn 6, I believe, and the first thing that happens is a whole bunch of shots get done from Han into that closest TIE fighter. 4 hits get through, 1 evasion, and I think that's it. I don't think he had a focus token on him because he was stuck in base to base with the TIE fighter. I think he ran into him. And then Ethan runs into Captain Dinu, holding him in place, but or something like that. One of the 2 happened. But he fires at Han and is able to strip 2 more shields, bringing Han down to just basic hull. And Chewbacca does something, and I'm not sure exactly what it is, so that's why the card's there. I don't remember what Chewbacca's little skill is, but he's able to jump in there and help out Han from, not getting destroyed. And in return, I believe, I have no idea, but Darth Vader kicks in and he loses a couple of shields off of his ship there, but now Han is stressed, so that's interesting. So here's what the board looks like at the end of turn 6. Boba's trying to angle around these damn TIE fighters and TIE interceptors to get angles on stuff to shoot. My little headhunter is doing the same thing, trying to get an angle on one of the TIE fighters. Meanwhile, Han and Ethan are stumbling around with the Goliath Empire model on the right there. So we go into our next turn, and Han has got some problems. Captain Dinu is able to swing around and run into Han, doing a point of damage to him. He's starting to get a real bad feeling about this mission.
I have a very bad feeling about this.
But after some maneuvering and stuff like that, Han is able to pull away and take a couple of pot shots at the one remaining TIE fighter in range, which is really good because he was able to put 2 points of damage on him. One was actually a crit. And the crit was injured pilot, so as you can see, when you play Scum and Rebels against the Empire, we go for the meat. Because you kill the meat, you can save the metal, and I could maybe, trade it in to Jabba for, some of that free stuff or whatever. Because you can always use more dry ice people. That's the way I see it. Then over here, I believe the Captain Dinu or whatever fires at Han and does a crit, but he also does 2 points of damage to himself. I think that's a Darth Vader or a Mara Jade ability. Not 100% on that one. But Han ends up taking 2 damage crit and a minor explosion crit, leaving him with, I think, only a handful of wounds left. And then my poor Boba is getting just bullied by these TIE Fighter, TIE Interceptor combo. The TIE Fighter did run into the asteroid and catch a bit of damage, but other than that, I think I've got 1 hit point left on Boba. I'm not sure. Maybe 2. And then over here, my Pirate Hunter, or Headhunter, claims another TIE Fighter. It's just clean living. That's all it is. He's a pirate with a heart of gold. So anyway, here's what it looks like at the end of turn 6. There's a TIE Fighter, a TIE Interceptor, and Captain Dinu left, as well as Ethan Hunt, Han Solo, Boba Fett, and the Headhunter that could. Over here, once again, Han Solo ends up getting just clogged up by these TIE fighters. I have the crit on him, where if he runs into something or runs into an asteroid, even if he doesn't stop on it or the path doesn't go through it, he takes a damage card. And yeah, I took that one, and that sucks. And then over here, fighting tooth and nail, these two fly up next to each other, and Han is able to do 1 point of damage to Captain Dinu. And then, I'm sorry, it's 2 points of damage to him. Both are crits with structural damage and a stun pilot. Unfortunately, Captain Dinu fires back at Han and finishes him off, ruining the legacy and destroying the continuity of the story.
Come on, let's keep a little optimism.
That's right. The story is a made-up lie. Han died to Captain Dinu long before they met Luke. So here's what the table looks like at the end of turn 7. As you can see, we have done some serious damage to each other. Boba is smoking from every port and hole that's in his damn ship. I got an interceptor and a TIE fighter on their last legs, just dogging him. Captain Dinu is barely holding on. I got a little headhunter who's desperately trying to get an angle on this thing so he can kill it. And Ethan, I don't know what the hell he's doing, or Atan, or whatever his name is. I don't know what he's doing, but he certainly isn't helping. So we go into our next turn, and my opponent underestimated Boba's ability to maneuver and made some poor flight choices, leaving his interceptor right in front of me. Boba opens fire on the interceptor and obliterates it with 3 solid shots, 2 crits, and the Greedo flip, and it's glorious. So the interceptor eats crow.
The force is strong in this one.
And then the Ethan Hunt guy is able to put some serious damage onto Captain Dinu, giving him thrust control fire, stun pilot, and a damage card. This thing has 12 hull points, though, so it's a hard thing to bring down, but with shots like this, it's a very good possibility we're going to take it down before the end of the game. And then it fires back, taking a shield off of my Headhunter, which actually hurts my heart a little bit, because if he dies, it just feels like the whole game was for naught. So here's what the board looks like at the end of turn 8. I've got a TIE fighter looking the wrong way right next to Boba. Boba is desperately trying to survive. The Headhunter and Eaton are trying to take down Captain Dinu, and Captain Dinu is desperately trying to survive. It's definitely been a tooth and claw type of game, you know? So we go into this next one, and yep, sure enough, Captain Dinu is able to fire and do a little bit of damage to Ethan. I believe that is the last shield on that boat. But Eden is able to fire back and finish off Captain Dinu with a crit, which is just absolutely glorious.
You rebel scum.
And I'm sorry, that's not entirely true. He was able to actually do 3 points of damage to him, which was outstanding. And I was glad to see the damn thing go, because it offended me. So here's what the board looks like at the end of turn 9. The TIE Fighter and my Headhunter had a bit of a collision. Boba Fett did a K-turn, just, did a fast turnaround so that he could try to get an angle on the last TIE Fighter. But with 3-to-1 odds, I think we're going to be okay in this particular one. With nobody able to get any angles or shots on each other, we went over here to turn 10, and here I made a tragic mistake. I thought he was going to turn hard left, or, with his TIE Fighter, and I thought I was, smart, and I was going to angle towards the asteroid because I didn't think my opponent would think I would do something like that. Fire with Boba and kill the TIE Fighter before I had to worry about the asteroid whatsoever. I moved my Headhunter just angled to the right so that just in case I was wrong, the TIE Fighter, or my Headhunter could spin around and get a shot off at the TIE Fighter. And I honestly don't know what the Ethan Hunt guy was thinking about. Nothing else happens in turn 10, so we go over here to turn 11. And thanks to the fact that the TIE Fighter went the wrong way, or the way that I didn't think he was going to go, I had to go forward, and I slammed poor Boba Fett into the asteroid. It wouldn't have mattered even if my path didn't go through it because of the crit card damage that I was taking. If I ran into anything, even if my path didn't go through it and I didn't land on it, I take a point of damage. Boba only had 1 point of damage left, and he died, and it's sad.
I felt a great disturbance in the Force, as if millions of voices suddenly cried out in terror and were suddenly silenced.
At this point, though, now that it's Ethan and my Headhunter versus a almost dead TIE Fighter, Sleeping Cthulhu just calls it and says, listen, I'm just going to fly this guy off the table and you guys are going to win. So good enough for us. Good enough for us. In the end, it was a very, very minor victory, as you can see, but damn it, we won. And yet again, we proved that Scum is better. Well, Scum and Rebels. Rebel Scum, ha-ha, are better than Empire dogs.
The Emperor does not share your optimistic appraisal of the situation.
Hey guys and gals, all you Wargamer nuts. Right here we've got an ad for Token Gal. She makes tokens for every game system, every possible requirement, every need. If it's a war game, if it's a tabletop game, if it's a board game, if it's a card game, if you need tokens, wound counters, spell counters, afflictions, hexes, augments, anything at all, send her an email. Tell her what you need. Hell, if you want certain pictures put on there, tell her what pictures you're looking for. Not only will she find it and make it, but she will charge you, really, really fair prices. And I mean really fair. Don't take my word for it, though. Send her an email. Tell her what you need. Get yourself some tokens. You're not going to regret it. And tell her Tremendous sent you.
Adventure. Excitement. Jedi craves not these things.
So yes, in the end, it was a victory for Lord Tremendous and Gnome Runner. Our opponent ended up conceding and flying his TIE Fighter off the table. I ended up losing Boba Fett, Kato, and Cavill. Gnome Runner lost Han Solo. Sleeping Cthulhu lost his 5 TIE Fighters. 6 if you count the one that he flew off the table. And then the General Manager lost Captain Daikun and 2 TIE Interceptors. Boba was a face melter in this game. I mean, he really did a lot of damage, and even though he went over to the left flank there and was out of it, he was still being dogged by two ships that were just circling him, just pelting him the whole time. And not only was he able to just flat out kill one, but he scared another one off, clean off the table, even after he slammed himself into an asteroid and died. Han was too once he got into the fight. He was really melting face, shooting a lot of ships down and stuff like that. He was instrumental in our victory, and even swallowed a lot of lasers in order to kind of protect the smaller ships that couldn't take as much damage. The TIE Fighter Swarm was a real pain in the ass. Really cool to see on the table. My opponent played it really, really well. It was cool to see, but what a pain in the ass to deal with. That was so many shots. I think it was like 18 shots a turn until we started taking them down. So yeah, that was really something else. And that weird Empire boat thingy was a huge challenge as well. It was like 16 damage on it, with including the shields, plus Darth Vader being on it, plus Mara Jade being on it. It was incredibly dangerous. Even to just be near it or run into it, you were cutting yourself on it. My pirate headhunter was a true fighter in this game. I was so proud of the little guy. I took him because I had the points left and I wanted a fourth ship. That's it. And he did better. He almost did better than Boba. I'm not going to say he did better than Boba because I don't believe he did, but he really put up a hell of a fight. But yeah, in the end, the one real mistake I made was running Boba into the asteroid. I did angle him towards the asteroid, thinking that the final TIE fighter was going to cut hard left, and then I was going to have him in my sights, and I could take out the TIE fighter before I had to worry about the asteroid, but no. My opponent was like, all too easy, and watched me slam into an asteroid and die like the fool I am. Very unglorified for such a legendary character, but I guess we can always just use an extra life and come back. But this was actually a really, really fun game. The team game on this thing was a lot of fun. Not as cramped as you would think it would be. A lot of laughing, a lot of jeering, a lot of rebel scum and empire dogs being thrown back and forth. And yeah, I really, really enjoyed it. It was a really fun game, really fun opponents. I had a great teammate, and I can't wait for another rematch like this. But yeah, guys, that's going to do it for this one, number 3 of my X-Wing saga. As always, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, or complaints, feel free to put them in the comment section below, and I will get back to you as quick as I can. But yeah, guys, thanks.